Hey guys, it's Bailey. Welcome back to the channel and thanks so much for tuning in to what's going to be a review of the Dose of Colors Desi and Katy collab. At first when this launched I was like, I'll just see what people think, and then something switched in me where I went to the page, I saw the collection sitting there and I was like, these colors speak to me, like every single one. I thought it was a really well coordinated collection, so I bought all of the pieces in the collection, and I'm going to talk about them here today. It is currently sold out on the Dose of Colors website, but they say they're going to restock in September. I thought I remember there being a specific date when they posted on Instagram that it was going to restock, but I just went back and checked now, and both on the site and on their Instagram post, there is no specific date. It just says TBD in September. So know that it is coming, but I wanted to get this review up so that if you were considering any of these products, you could see how they wear. I not only swatched them in this video, but I'm going to apply them. I'm clearly wearing some on my face right now, so yeah, just give you an idea of what I think and as a result whether or not these appeal to you. So let's go ahead and dive in. I don't even know where to start first. Let's do the eyeshadow palette. Alrighty, so here is the quad. Let's talk about this packaging. Actually, let's not. You don't even need to talk about this packaging. It does all the talking for you. Look at that insane glitter. It's like this mesh, or kind of, yeah, I guess mesh over top. Mesh pattern with glitter. I don't know, it's very hard to describe, but what I like about it is that it's super thin and compact, but also this glitter texture doesn't shed like crazy. I've had palettes before, or packaging before, where it's this, you know, ultra shiny, super compact glitter, and you run your hands through it, or you stick it in your makeup bag, and it's just like glitter shedding everywhere, and this doesn't do that. I don't know how it does it, but I really appreciate that it doesn't. Not a huge deal, but just something that when I first saw these and people using these, I thought, I wonder if that's like a huge mess. It's not. I haven't experienced, there's like very, very, very minimal shedding. Like I can go like this and there's not even one glitter on my finger. So probably went on about that longer than I should have, but you know, in case you're wondering. Inside here you have a decent sized mirror. I've used this to get ready. It's not the biggest mirror that you'll find in a palette, but it does the job. And then you have your four shadows here. Over here is Sue's. This is meant to be used wet. It is this gorgeous golden champagne color. I'm wearing it in my inner corner today. I probably should go in the order in which I applied these. Let's do that. First is Harpoon. This is one of the reasons that I bought this palette, because I love a good olive green. And this one is not only olive, but then it has gold flecky shimmers in it too. They say this is also best used wet, specifically with a wet finger. If you want to use a brush, I just make sure it has enough texture to pick this up, because once you wet the brush and then run it in here, I found with like the typical flat shader that I would think to go in with to really pack on color, it just doesn't grab this at all. So you really have to get in there and kind of, you know, just get in there with something that has a little bit more texture to heavy it up on your eye. I don't mind using my finger though, so that's exactly what I did here today. I just dampened my finger with some setting powder. I have not had enough coffee this morning. With some setting spray, put it directly in the pan and then applied that, tapped it all over my lid. That's the first shadow I applied today. Then I went in with the shade Noli up here, which is a gorgeous shimmery bronze. It's not too warm, it's not too cool, it's a very middle of the road sort of bronze shade. And it's super pigmented, so it can really be built up to where like it's a deep smoky all over the eye shade, or just used to add a little bit of subtle depth like I have in my outer corner here. That's exactly how I used it. Pat it in my outer corner and then spread it out throughout my crease. And then in the inner corner, I went in with Sue's, which is that shade that I talked about at the very beginning. Again, I used that wet. They recommend using it wet, although I have to say the texture is totally different from Harpoon. So I was a little surprised that that's the one they recommended using wet and not the final shade that I'm going to talk about. Sue's has really more of a traditional shadow texture, and I personally find it can be used both wet and dry equally. Wet will obviously intensify the, you know, high shine and texture and all that kind of stuff, but I just personally found that it did not require the wet treatment quite like Harpoon did. Then the final shade down here is this gorgeous black and plum, and that is the shade Turbo Sun. This one took me by surprise because in the pan it looks, it just wasn't the most interesting shade to me. Like, it's very complimentary in the palette and I was excited to use it, but of the colors I'm drawn to, it was pretty much every color except for this one. But on the eye, this kind of spreads out to be more of a purpley looking. I think it looks more purple on the eye, and then has these gorgeous, really prominent, like sparkly plum flecks. It's such a unique shade. In fact, both Harpoon and Turbo Sun are really unique shades to me, just the way they spread out across the eye. If you pack on the color, you know, you obviously get that base shade to be more pigmented, but then if you spread them out, you get a lighter dusting of the base shade, but then the glittery shift kind of comes out. The only thing I want to say about this palette, specifically about the textures, is that if you're looking at this thinking, am I going to love the texture, especially of these two shades down here? They're definitely different. Like, I'm not going to lie to you, they're a little bit outside of the traditional pressed shadow kind of consistency, especially Harpoon, and so it took me a little bit of learning and working with to figure out how I like to apply it, what works best for the look that I want. Just expect, and not for everyone. If you're a pro, clearly, or if you just know what you like and how you like it, I just, speaking from personal experience, saw that there was a little bit of a learning curve for me there, and so just go into it knowing that, you know, might be the case for you, especially if that's something you're concerned with up front. Now let's talk about the highlighters. This is another reason why I just got the whole collection, because I couldn't decide between the two. First, you have Fuego. This is more of a soft gold undertone, whereas the one that I'm wearing today, Mírame, has more of a bronzy undertone. Here are the two side by side. The difference is really subtle in the pan, I think. It's not until they're swatched that you really get to see the difference. It comes down to a matter of preference. I personally found on my skin tone, they're both flattering, and from what I've seen on a lot of other channels, other people see the same versatility on various different skin tones, so I think neither one of these is going to do you wrong in terms of what works best for what skin tone. I think it comes down to a preference because these are so universally flattering. I also already had one of the Dose of Colors highlighters. This is in the shade I See You Baby, and I got this from Ulta a while back. Mostly the main difference is in the packaging. I mean, there is an ingredient difference. The first ingredient in the permanent or already existing highlighters is mica, and the first ingredient in the Desi and Katy collection is alumina, which is the second ingredient in the original formula. I don't notice that as a huge difference in terms of application or consistency or anything like that. Main difference is the packaging. This one comes in a hard with a gorgeous holographic logo. It's quite a bit thicker, and the mirror looks larger, but I'm not sure if that's just an optical illusion because the mirror in the Desi and Katy is surrounded by this rose gold border, and that just like makes them look different sizes. Both, I think, function equally as well. It's just the appearance of them. And then this one actually has a snap closure, whereas, you know, the Desi Katy obviously doesn't. That's really just more of a packaging reference because it's not like you can get Fuego or Mírame in the original highlighter packaging, so I don't even know what point that served, but in case you were wondering. Okay, now onto lips. With this collection, they launched two traditional lipsticks, I guess, is what we'll call these now, because there are also two liquid lipsticks in this collection, as well as one lip gloss or lip topper. Let's start with that one. It's called Over the Top, so obviously it's good as, like I said, just a standalone lip gloss, or you can pair it over any one of these lipsticks or any lipstick you'd like as sort of a shimmery something something to add a little bit more interest and depth. Over the Top is basically like a clear base with a gold shimmer, and what I really like about both this and basically all the golds in this collection is that they're very flattering, very kind of neutral, middle of the road. They're not too cool, they're not too warm. I think a lot of people are going to find them flattering because of that. So that is the gold flex in here. I wouldn't say it's exceptionally unique, but the formula is really nice. It's a thicker formula, so it glides on really nicely and smoothly. It is a little bit stickier and thicker, not to the extent where it would be goopy and like, you know, you get those strings as you open up your mouth, but definitely to where it's a little bit stickier, but definitely to the point where I think it lasts longer because of it, which I don't personally mind. And it's a lip gloss. I personally think a little bit of stickiness is going to come with that no matter what. And in my experience, those that are a little bit tackier tend to last longer than those that are just like buttery smooth and kind of transfer on everything. That's not to say this doesn't transfer, I just noticed it lasting longer than a non-sticky or thinner gloss. If that sounds like an appealing formula to you, I think you'll really like this, but I wouldn't say the shade here or like the idea behind the shade is all that unique. I think you can find a lot of glosses out there with a clear base and a gold shimmer to it. Onto the lipsticks. I had not tried a Dose of Colors traditional lipstick formula before, just the liquid lips, so I was really excited to try these. Both of these are nude shades, the first of which is No Shade, appropriately named because it is pretty much my skin tone right now, and so it looks a little bit like I just applied concealer to my lips when I wear this, but I think when I'm a little bit fairer in the winter, it'll stand out a little bit more. I don't The thing is, I don't hate the way it looks. I think paired with a really deep dark smoky eye, like deeper than I have right now, it'd be the perfect balance. But depending on, it's one of those shades where on me, it could either erase my lips in a bad way or balance out that, you know, crazy eye with something that, you know, just brings up all the attention to the eyes and balances things out. The other shade is more Creamer Please, this one right here. Let me put them side by comparison. It is a hair deeper and I would say a little bit more warm. This is what I was wearing in a recent video where a lot of you guys were asking me what I was wearing. It was more Creamer Please. This I find is a little bit more easier for me to wear without having to worry about what I am pairing with it or things like that, because it has that little bit of extra depth. That said, it's a little bit warmer than No Shade, and so a couple of you even commented when I was wearing it, you thought it was too warm for me, you thought it was going to be too warm for you, and so it all comes down to a matter of taste or preference, but I will say these are some of the most flattering nude lipsticks I have ever worn. No Shade is easily the lightest nude I've ever found that I would be willing to wear because it actually looks decent on me. I've never understood how people could pull off those super light lips and look amazing, and it's because I just hadn't found one that worked for my skin tone. Everything was either too cool and made me look sickly and pale, or too warm and made me look just bizarre. And so I'm really happy to say that especially No Shade is kind of my ultra light perfect nude. More Creamer Please is a little bit trickier, but that's also for me personally, and this is going to be different for every skin tone, every skin undertone, and so you just gotta figure out what works best for you. And last, onto the liquid lipsticks. Let's first talk about the one I'm wearing, which is Sauvage. It's this deep, dark, almost black looking purpley plum. Absolutely love it. This, in fact, both of these shades are one that you take the wand out, you give your lips one coat, it's totally opaque, there's no going back over, you know, any of the edges or anything like that, which is nice because I find that the more you have to do that, the more room for error there is, and with a liquid lip, you want it to be one and done. That way when it dries down, it is there to stay. And that's exactly what this formula does. If you've never tried Dose of Colors, they have a really steadfast formula. I personally don't find them to be transfer proof throughout the day, especially as I start even lightly sipping on things. I will notice the transfer onto glasses, but there's something about the formula where even though I see that transfer, it doesn't get any less opaque on my lips. It doesn't start cracking or anything like that. And it's also not drying, so I don't know if that's just a side effect of having a super opaque liquid lipstick formula that's non-drying, is that you're going to see some of that transfer. I don't personally mind it, but depending on how you prioritize transfer proof, like that transfer proof quality in your liquid lipstick requirement, you might care about that, you might not. Bottom line is though, Sauvage is amazing. This is going to be a go-to for me for fall, especially paired with these eyeshadows. I really like how well coordinated this collection is. Then on the other side of the spectrum is Hot Fire, which when I would have looked at this collection, I would have thought, what place does this have in anything? But then as you go pairing it with some of the eyeshadows, you find that, oh yeah, a super hot coral orange red liquid lipstick will go with a lot of things in this collection. This is amazing, and this was a good call, just knowing that it was going to come out during that time as we're like heading out of summer, going into fall. This is still going to be a good one for me personally during like those, you know, summer nights where you want to put on something dramatic, you want to go out or whatever. Not that I go out a whole lot, but you know what I'm saying. You just want to feel like you're going out. This is like the lip color for me when I want to do that in like those later summer months. Although, let's get real, you don't, this could be a year-round shade. This is just where my mind goes when I saw this, but it's beautiful when paired with the Harpoon, that olivey green, as well as, is it Suze? Basically the, you know, golden champagne color in there, or the bronze for that matter. All three of those shades are going to look amazing with this lip color. The one thing I wish though, and that I really appreciate about the normal packaging, is that you can actually see the shade inside. Both of these I'm finding that I have to look at the bottom, and not even the bottom indicates what, I mean, obviously the name's on there, but it would be super helpful if it was just like, you know, a deep plum on the bottom versus a hot red on the bottom. Just for quick reference, because who has time to read? Literally, that's why we have like audiobooks. that was the whole Desi and Katy collab collection with Dose of Colors, and basically my recommendations. I think everything's good. It just comes down to what exactly you want. I think the formulas are great. The one tricky thing, like I said, is the eyeshadows. Just be sure you anticipate the texture of some of those shadows and how they might differ from your normal everyday shadow texture. Besides that though, I think it's an awesome collection. It's well coordinated if you buy it all together. They're amazing pieces individually if you just want a liquid lipstick or a nude lipstick. It's good either way. I really hope this review helped you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any other questions or comments down in the comments below. I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.